Look around you. Every day, you're told you're free. Free to choose, free to speak, free to live life your way. But what if I told you that the freedom you believe in is an illusion? What if the choices you think you're making aren't really yours at all? Who's truly in control? You or something much bigger? Freedom is often heralded as one of the most fundamental rights in human society, a cornerstone of modern democratic systems, a banner under which nations are built, and a rallying cry for those under oppression. The notion of freedom captivates the human spirit, conjuring visions of endless possibilities, autonomy, and self-expression. From political speeches to personal manifestos, freedom seems to represent the ultimate state of human existence. Yet, beneath its surface, freedom is far more complex, elusive, and, for many, an illusion that obscures the true nature of power, control, and social order. In this video, we will explore the multifaceted concept of freedom and argue that the freedoms most people believe they enjoy are often shaped by invisible social, economic, and psychological forces. We will question the assumption that individuals in modern societies are truly free and suggest that what is perceived as freedom is, in many cases, a carefully constructed illusion. Freedom is often thought of as the ability to act without coercion, to choose one's path in life, and to express one's will without interference. In political terms, it is commonly equated with democracy, where individuals have the right to vote, participate in decision-making, and voice their opinions without fear of retribution. Economically, freedom is associated with capitalism and free markets, where individuals are believed to have the autonomy to pursue wealth and prosperity. Socially and culturally, freedom allows for diversity of thought, belief, and lifestyle, where individuals can define their identity without constraint. However, freedom is not monolithic. Isaiah Berlin famously distinguished between two concepts of freedom, negative liberty and positive liberty. Negative liberty refers to freedom from external constraints or interference, where individuals can act as they choose as long as they do not infringe upon others. Positive liberty, on the other hand, is the freedom to control one's own destiny, to have the capacity and means to realize one's potential. This distinction reveals that freedom can be viewed both as an absence of limitations and as the presence of opportunities. But is this freedom, whether negative or positive, truly accessible? Are we, in modern societies, genuinely free? Or are the freedoms we hold dear merely an illusion, masking the deeper structures of control that shape our thoughts, actions, and choices? One of the first obstacles to true freedom is the very society we inhabit. Sociologists like Emil Durkheim and Max Weber have long argued that social structures exert a significant influence over individual behavior. From birth, individuals are socialized into a world governed by norms, values, and institutions. These invisible forces shape our perceptions of what is acceptable, desirable, and even possible. In this sense, the freedom to choose is always constrained by the social world in which one is embedded. Take, for instance, the idea of career choice. In theory, individuals in a free society are able to choose their profession based on their interests and talents. Yet, in reality, these choices are often heavily influenced by socioeconomic status, family expectations, cultural norms, and the availability of opportunities. A person born into a wealthy family is more likely to have access to education, networks, and resources that will facilitate certain career paths, while someone from a lower socioeconomic background may find their choices limited by financial constraints and systemic barriers. Even more insidious is the way in which societal values shape our very desires. Philosopher Herbert Marcuse, in his work One-Dimensional Man, argues that modern capitalist societies create a form of false consciousness, in which individuals are conditioned to desire certain things, status, wealth, consumption, that serve to perpetuate the existing system of power. The freedom to consume, to buy what one wants, is celebrated as a marker of autonomy, yet this want is itself manufactured by the system. Advertising, media, and culture reinforce desires that align with the interests of those in power, diverting attention from more meaningful forms of freedom, such as self-realization or collective well-being. Thus, the freedom to choose within a capitalist society is often a choice between prepackaged options, where the illusion of autonomy masks the deeper forces of social conditioning. Economic freedom is frequently cited as a hallmark of democratic societies, particularly those that embrace capitalism. The promise of economic freedom is the ability to work, earn, invest, and accumulate wealth according to one's efforts and abilities. In this framework, the market is portrayed as a level playing field, where individuals can rise or fall based on their merit. However, economic freedom is, in practice, far from equitable. Capitalism, by its very nature, creates a system of winners and losers, where wealth accumulates at the top and power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few. For many, economic freedom is little more than the freedom to struggle. The working class, often bound by the need to survive, finds its choices constrained by economic necessity. The freedom to choose a career, to relocate, to spend time on creative or personal pursuits, is often sacrificed in the pursuit of financial security. The illusion of economic freedom thus becomes a mechanism of control, where individuals are compelled to participate in a system that benefits the few at the expense of the many. Moreover, the global economic system is designed in such a way that true freedom is rarely attainable for those outside the centers of power. Developing nations, for instance, are often trapped in cycles of debt and dependence, subject to the whims of international markets and institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Economic freedom, in this context, is a luxury afforded to the wealthy and powerful, while the majority remain bound by systemic inequality. Political freedom, particularly in democratic societies, is often associated with the right to vote, to participate in governance, and to express one's opinions without fear of repression. On the surface, this appears to be a profound expression of individual autonomy and collective will. However, the extent to which individuals are truly free to influence political outcomes is questionable. In many democratic systems, the choices presented to voters are limited to a narrow spectrum of options, often dominated by powerful political parties and interest groups. The illusion of choice is maintained by the appearance of competition between parties, yet these parties frequently represent only marginal differences in policy, particularly on issues related to economic power and social order. For example, in the United States, the two-party system offers little real alternative to the neoliberal status quo, where corporate interests dominate policymaking, and meaningful reforms are often stymied by entrenched power structures. Furthermore, the influence of money in politics has severely undermined the democratic process. Campaigns are increasingly dependent on wealthy donors and corporate contributions, creating a system where those with financial power have disproportionate influence over political outcomes. The average citizen, despite their right to vote, finds themselves disempowered in a political system that serves the interests of the few. This leads to a deeper question: can individuals be truly free in a political system where power is so unevenly distributed? If the choices presented are themselves constrained by the existing power structure, then political freedom is little more than a facade, masking the reality of systemic control. Even if one were to overcome the social, economic, and political constraints on freedom, there remains the issue of psychological freedom, the freedom to think and perceive the world without distortion. Yet, this form of freedom is perhaps the most elusive of all. Human beings are subject to a wide range of cognitive biases, emotional influences, and subconscious drives that shape their perceptions, decisions, and behaviors. Our minds are not neutral vessels of reason, but are shaped by experiences, social conditioning, and psychological tendencies that often operate beneath the level of conscious awareness. The rise of mass media, social media, and digital technologies has only exacerbated this problem. The constant bombardment of information, much of it tailored to reinforce existing beliefs and biases, creates echo chambers in which individuals are increasingly insulated from alternative perspectives. The algorithms that govern social media platforms are designed to maximize engagement, often by exploiting psychological vulnerabilities such as fear, anger, and desire for validation. As a result, individuals find themselves trapped in a cycle of confirmation bias, where the information they consume only serves to reinforce their existing worldview. This manipulation of perception raises profound questions about the nature of freedom in the digital age. Are individuals truly free to think for themselves, or are their thoughts and behaviors being subtly shaped by the technologies they engage with? The illusion of freedom in this context lies in the belief that one's thoughts are entirely one's own, when in fact they are influenced by external forces that are increasingly sophisticated in their ability to manipulate the mind. If freedom, as it is commonly understood, is an illusion, shaped by social, economic, political, and psychological forces, then the question becomes, what can be done to reclaim or redefine freedom in a meaningful way? One possible path forward is to adopt a more critical and reflective approach to freedom, one that acknowledges the constraints imposed by society while striving for deeper forms of autonomy and self-determination. This requires a shift away from the individualistic conception of freedom that dominates much of Western thought, toward a more collective and relational understanding of freedom. True freedom, in this sense, may not be the ability to act without constraint, but rather the ability to act in accordance with one's values and aspirations, in a way that contributes to the well-being of others and the broader community. This vision of freedom requires not only personal reflection but also structural change. Social, economic, and political systems must be reimagined to promote greater equality, access to resources, and opportunities for self-realization. This might involve policies that reduce economic inequality, dismantle systems of political corruption, and create spaces for genuine democratic participation. Moreover, in an age of digital manipulation, psychological freedom must be protected. Through education, media literacy, and the promotion of critical thinking, individuals must be equipped to navigate the complex information landscape, to recognize manipulation when it occurs, and to resist the forces that seek to control their perceptions and beliefs. In the end, freedom may never be absolute, but by recognizing the illusions that obscure it, we can begin to move toward a more authentic and meaningful form of liberation, one that empowers individuals not just to act, but to act with purpose and clarity within a world that is ever-changing and complex. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.